Welcome back to Screaming on the Inside. I'm Lee Spinks. I'm the admissions supervisor for UKAT Treatment Centres. In this episode, I'm very lucky to have a special guest and a long-time alumni member, musician and singer Ella Hayes. Welcome to the podcast, Ella.
Hi, thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh no, thank you so much for joining me. I've really been looking forward to talking to you today. So, are you okay to sort of tell me what it was like before you came into treatment, your experience towards the end of your using?
Yeah, sure. I mean, by the end, it was very, very lonely, very painful, and frightening. I was isolating, basically, drinking at home, using at home. I kind of moved out of my family home into it was like a house share, and it just gave me this kind of opportunity to do that, to be at home and drink and. Oh, it was horrible, no sleep for nights and just, horrible. Lonely place to be.
Yeah, I feel you there. I know it can be. I think everybody gets to their own. We call it, you hear it said rock bottom a lot, and I don't genuinely believe in my personal experience there's a definitive rock bottom. As you probably know, Ella, you think it can, that's it. It can't get any worse, and it turns out rock bottom has a trap door, and you just keep going down. I think people need to get to the stage where they're willing to change. For some people, it is like that. It can be when things externally aren't too bad, and for other people, it gets bad. But it's an internal job, isn't it? And do you think, can you sort of put your finger on one thing that was sort of the deciding factor of you deciding to seek help, or was it a combination of things?
It was, hitting a rock bottom. I've, like you said, relapse is a part of my story, and every single time when I thought it couldn't get any worse, it did. And one day I was picked up from A&E. I'd come a bit of a regular at our local A&E, and it was a friend of the family. He was my taxi driver, and on the way home he told me about treatment centre in Halstead where I live, and he told my mum about it. They booked me in, and I really wanted it. I really wanted to change. I just didn't know how.
Yeah. Yeah. And what was it like? So I think that's so strange. You was told by a taxi driver about, say it was Sanctuary Lodge, wasn't it? You was in.
Yeah.
You were told by a taxi driver about Sanctuary Lodge, and how was it when you first walked through them doors?
It was scary, but once I was in there, it was just like this massive kind of sigh of relief because, I suddenly felt safe and protected. And it was the first time that I'd ever suddenly been surrounded by people that got it and understood me and knew what I was going through. And it was just like this, I'm going to be all right. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think when you describe the way it was for you before you come into treatment, and I identify with this, and most of the people I speak to at work as well, and meet during my own recovery as well, will get to that place of utter despair and loneliness where you don't know a way out. And did you see a way out when you were doing what you were doing, when you were drinking and using? Did you ever see?
No.
Could you foresee a future without it? No.
No,
most
couldn't.
People can't.
Yeah, no, I couldn't imagine a life without drinking or using. It became my reality in the end. And when I was not using, and usually if I wasn't using it, it's because I couldn't get it. Reality was frightening. So I would use to escape, but obviously it's that vicious circle. It was sending me nuts,
Yeah, it's a bad place, isn't it? When you're using drugs and it's painful, and you're drinking and it's painful because it's causing you a lot of emotional pain. But it's even more frightening when you're clean and sober, and that's the place that's scary for most of us, and not seeing a way out. You walked in and you've done fantastic in your recovery. Now, obviously, I'm male, and my recovery would have been different to yours in certain aspects. I know we both subscribe to the same recovery program, and it works for anybody.
Mm.
But what are some of the unique hurdles that you faced, whether in recovery, but also in active addiction as a female?
Um, sure. I don't really know how to answer that. I mean, when I went into Sanctuary Lodge, the turnover was quite weird. Like, it was mostly guys when I went in, and I
Okay.
think that I've always got on better with guys than I have women. At least I thought until I went into Sanctuary Lodge. And I met some amazing women in there. Yeah, I don't really know how to answer that, if I'm honest.
No, I, it's difficult for me because I think that my problems were probably different to females when I came into recovery. Um, but all I do know is that, as you say, I've had the pleasure of watching you from a distance because I get to see you as part of alumni. I also get to
Mm.
look at your blog, and we will talk about that in a little while. And I've had the very great pleasure of listening to some of your music, and it's absolutely fantastic. We'll talk about that as well. So
Yeah. Mhm.
it is, I think, slightly different for females in terms of maybe they will have to behave differently in active addiction than they would usually. In recovery, I don't know. Obviously, I've not had the experience of what it's like on the female side of things, but I think it's quite interesting. You pointed out that you thought you got on better with males before you came into recovery. What about now in recovery? Because I know you do a lot of meetings. So, do you have a female support network around you now?
Yeah, I have a really, really good support network. I've got I just think she's amazing. My sponsor, she really inspires me, and we gel, which I think is important when you pick a sponsor. It's someone that's going to be a massive part of your life. So for me, I wanted to pick someone that I got on with, and that they had something that I wanted. And she's not. I could have picked someone that had like 30 years recovery, but
Yeah.
actually, my sponsor's like 3 years in. So it's really good I watch her go through things, and it teaches me how to do the same, because I'm coming up to 10 months now, which is amazing. I
Congratulations.
never ever thought in a million years I'd ever get a month, to be honest. So yeah, I'm really pleased.
Yeah, I bet you are, and that's fantastic. I remember coming into recovery, and I would look at someone with your time, and it just
Mm.
seemed like 10 months. Wow, how do you get 10 months? Because it was
Yeah.
alien to me. I couldn't go a day, let alone, and I see somebody like you with 10 months is amazing,
Mm.
and the relationship you have with your sponsor now. A lot of different people are going to be listening to this. So people from all different walks of life, and also people who are subscribe to different recovery models. So
Yeah.
I used to be staunch 12 step, and I am still in 12 step recovery, but I used to be staunch 12 step. It's the only way to recover, and I have to say that there are many different recovery models open to people that have fantastic results. But if we
Yeah.
are talking about your journey in 12 step, the relationship you have with your sponsor is very important, because
Absolutely.
although your sponsor won't keep you clean, the same as my sponsor doesn't keep me clean. I do take
Yeah.
guidance from my sponsor, and I think it's very important
Hmm.
that they do have something you want. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it is a beautiful thing. My sponsor is one of the most happy, motivated guys, and I know he does what he asks me to do. So
Mm.
it's a good thing. Now,
Yeah.
um, I've heard you play music. Was you passionate about music when you were using and drinking?
Not in the end, no. I mean, I've always loved music. My dad's a musician, and so I kind of followed in his footsteps. And I grew up singing in pubs with him. But obviously, when I was younger and I wasn't drinking and using, I absolutely loved it, and I started writing at quite a young age. In the end, when I was doing my own gig in pubs and stuff, I could perform in front of hundreds of people, but in my head, it was just me and that drink. and me and that drug, and I couldn't wait to finish and pick up my, the money that I'd earned that night, pick it up, and I'd already spend it on the way home. So I just lost all interest in the end. I didn't pick up my guitar, I was writing. Yeah, I just lost all of my passion, really. But in recovery, I've got it back. It's lovely.
It's one of the gifts, isn't it? You come alive again. Enjoy stuff you were doing before. Have you found that there are new things that you've started doing that you never thought you'd be interested in?
Yeah. So music-wise, it was actually Sanctuary Lodge that put me in contact with these guys, and it's a charity called We Are Not Saints. And basically, they're like a mini record label that support musicians in recovery. So I'm kind of working on writing some songs for that, and fingers crossed, when lockdown does eventually lift, we can get together and do some recording and start working together.
Fantastic. It's that energy you have. It's this. When I say recovery is attractive, I mean recovery is really attractive. The energy that you give off, it's what inspires people. No, it is. You come. So you've been to rehab. You've been, and we'll talk a bit about Sanctuary Lodge in a minute. But you've been to rehab, but you've come out and you've engaged in recovery. You're going to get people come into the meetings that you go to that are fresh in, that are miserable, do not see a way out, and then they meet somebody like you, and it's just bang. It's like, this is what's on offer, because it isn't about, big houses, fast cars, loads of money in the bank. It's what you're giving off because you have something internally, and that's the thing about recovery. I mean, that's what I love.
Yeah, I think it is so important to show, recovery is hard. Don't get me wrong. There are days where it's difficult, but it's nowhere near as hard as active addiction. That is very, very hard. And I think it's important to, talk about the good things in life and the things you get back. My life has completely turned around from what it was. It's like it's just made a U-turn, and I'm enjoying life.
Yeah, you can hear it in your voice. You can really hear it in your voice, and that's that is the foundation that you got in rehab, but it's also to do with the work you're putting in now, and it's just amazing. Yeah. So, what was Sanctuary Lodge actually like for your whole treatment? Because you were with us a while, wasn't you?
I was. Sanctuary Lodge was one of the best and most life-changing experiences I've ever had. It was, I think, I unlocked something in there. There was I unlocked this part of me in there that I didn't even know existed. And once I put the drink and the drug down, I found this new part of me, and it wasn't a new part of me. It was always there. But I realised that I was all right. I was a good person, really. I just wasn't very well. And I love it. The staff at Sanctuary Lodge are amazing. The therapists are just, and I'm going to name drop, but Jenna was my vocal therapist, and that woman has helped me so much. And also Tracy as well, because I do take advantage of the aftercare every Friday. Whether I'm in a good place or not, it helps me, and Tracy's been amazing. So I've just got love for the place. And because it's in the town that I live, it's literally like a 1 minute walk from my house, and it's in the park where I walk my dog. So I still just feel very close to it,
Yeah, and they'll love hearing their names on here as well, because it is nice. It's this is what I do for a job. It's my career, but it is also lovely to get to speak to people like yourself and the alumni guys that call in, and I even see some of them in meetings, and to see the change. It's like I didn't actually have any involvement in your booking into treatment. But I do sometimes speak to people who call up, and you don't recognise them. It's night and day. You've spoken to them before, and you know them, but they sound different. They just sound alive. It's a true gift. I just think it's an absolute miracle what I see, because the person you are is the person you always could be, because I think unless you've been in active addiction for any amount of time and you've managed to sort of come out the other side and really see yourself for what you are, and also witness it in other people, that you don't realize the good that can be inside. People who suffer with addiction, we tend to be, like yourself, very charismatic, very, very easy to talk to. You have all of that inside that's just waiting there to be unlocked. But because people with addiction problems, myself included, tend to be super sensitive, myself very, very self-centered as well in active addiction. I used to think it was me being sensitive. It's not. You're very, very self-centeredly. And I'm using all the time to cover that up. That never gets a chance to actually come out and shine. And then I look at someone like yourself who is absolutely just beaming with confidence. It's so nice to see. No, I think talking to somebody like yourself, we can talk and we can talk about all this good stuff, and it's absolutely fantastic. But I like hearing in meetings as well when, like you said, when you go to aftercare, sometimes you're not in a good space and you're talking about it, because what that does there is that shows somebody like me and everybody else is, do you know what? I'm having a bad day. Things are not going right. Just because you're clean and sober don't mean it's going to be roses all day. But I'm not using on it, and I'm doing the best to get through the day without causing harm to anyone or myself. And that again is a message of recovery right there.
Yeah, I mean, it was only last week I had like a little rough patch where obviously we're in lockdown, and I mean everybody's fed up with it, and it's really challenging, especially in recovery, because, you really have to sit with your feelings. And, I did go through a bit of a rough patch, but I got through it without drinking and using. And every time I do that, I feel like I'm building resilience of it. And then I have to really pat myself on the back, say, you go, girl, you got through it.
I know. Apparently we grow through pain. I've said, why can't I grow in the happy times? Why does it have to get painful for me to grow?
It's always when you don't want to hear it and someone says to you, this too shall pass. You're like, well, it's not, but it does.
It does. Yes, this too shall pass, and a day at a time. And it's true. It's so, so true. I've asked someone, when you first come in and you're looking at the guys that are 5, 10, 20, 30 years, and I'd go up to them really, really intrigued by it and say, how have you got 30 years sober? And they'd look at you and they'd say, a day at a time, lad. And I think a day at a time.
Yeah.
But
that is it. That really is it.
Yeah, you've got best part of 10 months now, and you've only ever stayed clean right here and right now in the moment, and it's the same with me. I only ever stay clean today, and it is a day at a time. Now, music, I know, is a massive part of your recovery and your life by the sound of it as well. So are you able to, so we're going to put a couple of your tracks onto this podcast. So I know music has been a massive part of your life and your recovery. So are you able to tell us a couple of songs that you've written since being in recovery and what they actually mean to you?
Well, I've got 2 songs that are special to me that I've written. One of them is called Recovery, and that's about recovery, and how and how my life has changed in recovery, and it's kind of about hope and letting people know that it gets better. The other song that I wrote that is special to me is called White Line and White Lies. And that's kind of the other side. That's kind of about being in addiction and, the darkness and the sneakiness and the lying and stuff like that. But so they're both kind of different extremes, but very personal to me, and they mean a lot.
And where did you come up with the ideas for these songs?
I think I wrote White Lines and White Lies when I was in it. So, it did kind of come to me. It's quite a moody song, but it does express what that felt like. And Recovery, I wrote when I came out of Sanctuary Lodge, and I was absolutely, just buzzing for life, because, you start to feel good again, and you're healthy and you're looking good. So I was in a really good place when I wrote it.
Yeah. And I expect it radiates that in the song as well.
I hope so.
today. I'm gonna put me before everyone else. Whoa, cover me in recovery. It's lovely to discover me. I found the door and I got the key to my sanctuary, and unlocked a brand new me. Yeah, oh yeah. All of my dreams were unreachable. I was drowning in my own tears, but you helped me see I was teachable, and now I can face my fears. One day at a time, I'm gonna make it the habit of a lifetime, and now I'm gonna break it. Whoa, cover me in recovery. It's lovely to discover me. I found the door and I got the key to my sanctuary, and unlocked a brand new me. One who believes that I can achieve what I want, and I'm gonna conquer it all. Whoa, cover me in recovery. It's lovely to discover me. I found the door and I got the key to my sanctuary, and unlocked a brand new me. Cover me in recovery. It's lovely to discover me. I found the door and I got the key to my sanctuary. Oh, my sanctuary.
Now,
Yeah.
you've mentioned a couple of times actually, I think, lockdown and how this has been for anyone. Now, since coming out of Sanctuary Lodge, have you been able to engage in face-to-face, or has it all been Zoom recovery meetings?
It's been Zoom mainly. I mean, when I first came out of Sanctuary Lodge, I was doing 90-90, and I was really going for it. You know, I was doing 2 meetings a day. My friend in the fellowship was giving me lifts to these meetings, and then lockdown happened, and they had to close.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really struggled. I did slip up actually. I did relapse. And it got very dark very quickly. But I came out of it, and yeah, I logged into Zoom, and I tried doing 2 meetings a day every day, and I love it now. I really like Zoom. I hope that even when the face-to-face meetings do open properly again, I hope they still keep Zoom. It's just been brilliant for me. Like I love it.
Yeah. I agree. I think they will as well. I think there's going to be a lot of hybrid meetings going on, where I know of some that are face-to-face and on Zoom, and I think that'll definitely be the way forward. And I'm the same, because I work funny shifts, quite unsociable hours sometimes. Zoom's been perfect for me to be able to hit meetings before work or after work. Do you mind me asking, and first of all, the relapse. Now, you picked up, you come straight back into recovery. Relapse happens. Now, addiction can be left untreated. It is a relapse condition. I understand that. I most certainly didn't get clean the first time I tried. And it's very important, anyone listens to this, if you have relapsed or you are currently in relapse, not to beat yourself up about it, because that's only going to feed into the addiction, and you're going to use on it more. And you've done exactly the right thing. Is you relapsed, it couldn't be changed, but you come back in and got straight on with what you needed to do. But do you know why, if you're comfortable talking about it, that you actually picked up again? Do you know?
Yeah. So basically, because all I was doing was going to meetings at the time, and you know what? I wasn't honest. Like, I was really scared when the meeting stopped. But instead of telling people about it, instead of saying, look, I'm scared, I'm struggling, I was telling people I was all right when I wasn't. And, you know, if I'd have just been honest and opened up about it, I would save myself a lot of pain, because that really was my rock bottom. And I don't mind about it. You know, I lost everything, and I was sectioned for a little while. And I just went mad. I mean, and that's exactly what I did. I beat myself up about it. But I phoned Sanctuary Lodge one day, and I got through to Jenna. And to be honest with you, I don't know what she said to me, and I don't know what I said to her, because I was in such a mess. I just know that something clicked in that phone call. Something clicked, and then that was it. I was logging on Zoom. I got in touch with my sponsor. And I just thought, you know what? I'm not gonna do this anymore. I just have to keep putting one foot in front of the other, one day at a time. Yeah. And that's just what I did, you know. And I don't promote relapse. And to be honest, I get a little bit worried when people say to people, "Oh, relapse is a part of recovery." That's quite a dangerous thing to say to a recovering addict. I think if you're heading for a relapse, I think relapse is a lack of recovery, and I think if you feel like you're heading for one, there's something you're not doing, and that's when you need your support network. That's when you need to phone people. That's just my experience. But you know, I look at that relapse as, I'm kind of grateful that it happened, because it was so terrifying that I don't ever want to go back that place. So I treat my recovery very seriously, and, you know, I work it every single day.
Yeah, thank you for being so honest. And I sort of have to agree with you on that respect. I don't get involved a lot with social media. I have got into the ring with people on social media where they've said things like addiction is a choice. You know, you come and do my job for a few weeks and you'll find out that addiction really isn't a choice. Addiction is an illness, and it's chronic, and it kills people. And then I hear people say relapse is part of recovery, and I've got into the ring with people in this before as well. Now, relapse is a part of some people's journey, and it's a part of my journey. And if people are honest with themselves, it's a part of most people's journey when they really have that honest desire to stop and they can't, and they're in relapse mode all the time. It's a part of the journey, and it's not for you to beat yourself up for, but it's something that can be avoided. And I liked what you said about honesty. Now, most people, like you said, were before you came into Sanctuary, the way you were isolated, the way you feel alone. It's the way most people end up in addiction. I could have been in a room full of people, and I had my family around me when I was using at the end. I had a partner, and I had one of my children living with me, but I felt alone. I could be sitting in a room full of people and I could feel alone and isolated, and I never spoke. I never was honest about my feelings. I was the type of guy where I could be walking down the street homeless, and you'd say, "Lee, how you doing?" And I'd be, "Yeah, no, I'm sweet, thanks, mate." And inside I'm dying, and inside I want help. So that honesty of, you know what, I'm not okay, and I need help, that's such a big thing.
Yeah, give people a chance to help you, because people want to help. You know what I mean? My family were just, in the end, I mean, it wasn't that they gave up. They never stopped loving me, and they didn't give up. They just didn't know what to do.
No.
You know, they didn't know how to help.
Yeah, no, I know. And it's, even if your family were fully qualified, you know, even if you had psychotherapists as parents, and I think because you're so close, it would have been hard for them to help you anyway. But it's people, I don't know what sort of looks you used to get, Ella, but I used to get the type of looks off my partner at the time, like, what are you doing? Why have you done it again? And I didn't have a clue. It's like 2 days ago, I was planning on staying clean forever, and now I'm using again. No, I think it's the reason, well, for myself, that, you know, 12-step recovery, smart recovery, you know, other recovery support groups, they work so well, Because if I go to someone like you and say, do you know what, I'm not having a great day, and I tell them how I'm feeling, they've probably experienced it themselves in recovery.
Exactly. Yeah. And, you know, what you were saying about those looks as well, and it was like a vicious circle. The more I hurt people around me, the more I hated myself. So the more I used, you know. But it's so refreshing to be in their good book today. It's so good.
I can imagine it must be. I can imagine, because your family recover as well, don't they? Your family recover from you,
exactly.
You know. Because I know mine have recovered from me. Now, moving on to actually families. Now, relationships, they get very damaged in active addiction. Our personal relationships. Now, how has it been with your peer group, with your friends, with your family since you've been in recovery? How have you managed to rebuild them, and have you managed to rebuild them all?
So it took time, especially in the beginning, because I think because I had relapsed, you know, multiple times. Words were just kind of obsolete, you know, and it was all about action. So, and the great thing about Zoom as well is, you know, they know I'm in the next room on a meeting, so they know I'm putting the work in. And, you know, I started working these 12 steps, and I felt, I think they saw the change in me before I did, but I can feel how I've grown. And, you know, I've done step 9 and I'm still doing it. But I've made amends with people, and I've written so many letters. But the relationship, particularly my parents, you know, they're the people that I hurt the most, other than myself. Our relationship is just wonderful today. You know, I'm honest with them. They've had their chance to tell me how I make them feel, and it's hard to hear because I love, you know, they're my parents. But things are just different now. You know, as long as I'm still doing stuff and putting in the action, they're happy, so I'm happy. And also the idea that, you know, because there was a point I thought, well, my parents are going to get old one day, and when I was in the dick, thought, well, I'm not ever going to be able, I'm not able to ever look after them, but now I am, you know, and it's just nice. I can be there for my parents, so it's lovely. Friends I've reconnected with that are so supportive, not just people in the fellowship, like, you know, old school friends and stuff like that. Brilliant.
Yeah, it's one of the gifts. It really is one of the gifts, and there are so many gifts to being clean. You know, when you get clean, I used to think, and I hear a lot, actually, it's you know, this is it, life's over, and I say, you know, what you're going to lose being clean is you're going to lose the self-loathing. You're going to lose all that depression and anxiety all the time. You're going to lose that part of your life, but you're going to gain so much. But I think you have to, like you, is it doesn't come, you know, if I'm using, if I'm smoking or sniffing or whatever I'm doing to try and you know, fix myself, an active addiction, it's instant. It's literally click and I'm done. I'm all right. Now, recovery isn't like that, or it certainly wasn't like that for me. It took a while. It took a while to build myself up, to start feeling better about myself, to repair the damage. You know, a lot of damage was done, and it takes a while. And I think that's important for people to realise, as it gets better, it just takes a while.
It really does.
One of the greatest things I heard is somebody said, they said if I got clean, I'd feel better. I did feel better. I felt more depression, more anxiety, and more shame. And I thought that was great, because it's true.
It's absolutely true. You know, you get your feelings back, which is great, but the worst bit is you get your feelings back.
I know, and it takes a while, and it's another reason really why rehab, like for yourself and for myself, I've been in treatment before. It helps because you are separated from that for a while, and you have that support, but you can get that support elsewhere. But it just takes a while to build up, you know, your self-esteem and self-worth again, and a lot of work to keep it going. Now, we've recently had Valentine's Day, a big thing for a lot of people. I was very dysfunctional in active addiction. So, what has it been like for you getting clean, since being clean? You know, dating in recovery and all that. How's it felt? Have you dated in recovery?
No, I think I steered absolutely clear of that. To be honest, it was suggested that in your first year you don't try and date anyone new, and I've just kind of took that on board, and I've just been focusing on me, learning to love myself before I can love someone else, basically. So yeah, who knows what the future holds? But at the moment, it's all about me.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. I I was in a long-term relationship when I got clean, and it actually didn't survive recovery. It's strange, isn't it? It was quite a dysfunctional relationship, but it ended probably. Well, it ended very amicably because she is, the mother of my daughter, and I still have I have a fantastic relationship with my daughter, and I get on well with her mother as well. We have to keep it amicable. But I did start dating, and it was the weirdest thing doing it without a drink or a drug, because I'd never done it without a drink or a drug. I'd used since the age of 13, and I met a lady who is now my wife, and on our first date, I really liked her, and she said to me on the first date, "Do you want a drink?" And I said, "No, I'm driving, so I won't have a drink." And I thought about it, and I thought, you know what? You really, really like this girl. You're going to have to tell her. You're going to have to. So I met her the next couple of nights later, and I said, "Look, I used to have a problem with alcohol. And I don't drink anymore. But the way I had built it up in my mind, when I said I've got something to tell you, she actually thought I was going to say I'm married or something else terrible. And I said, look, I don't drink. And she just looked at me. She went, oh, okay. And it's actually quite nice because we always have a designated driver, me. I'm always there and available. And so there
you go.
It's quite good. But what you said about loving yourself, and I do like that, because if you can't love yourself, you cannot show love to anybody else. You can't. Exactly. I don't care what you say. And if you need to be in a relationship to fix yourself, in terms of you need that other person to validate who you are, then there's it's only going to be dysfunctional. And you will always need that person's validation. But once you can love yourself, and a year, recommended a year. Yeah, I've heard it said. It's a good amount of time to get to know yourself and love yourself. But once you can, you're able to form healthy relationships, whether they're friendships or whether they turn into something more. It really, it can be a beautiful thing, and it's a nice journey to be on.
Yeah.
We're now 11 months into a global pandemic, and pretty much that whole time we've been in lockdown. What has it that's helped you most, or what is it that's helped you most through this entire time?
Routine, firstly. So I kind of got the idea that I was going to mimic day at St. Lodge at first, Okay. So even though I'm not working, so even though I've got nowhere to go and nowhere to be, I make sure I get up at a reasonable time. I do my meditation. I send my gratitude list to my sponsor. And even if I'm not going anywhere, I make sure I jump in that shower, look presentable for my meeting. I do a meeting every morning at 11 o'clock, which it's not really a proper fellowship meeting. It's kind of like a process. In Sanctuary Lodge, you have a process group in the morning, and it's literally just to upload and talk about how you're feeling that day.
Yep.
So I use that, just routine. I think with lockdown, days are very samey, but if you just get it in your head to do the next best thing. The mornings where I don't feel like getting up, I just do baby steps, and I do my meditation. I think, well, I've done that. So now I'll send my gratitude list, and right, I've done that. So now, and it just really helps to start the day off well. And if I want to, I can spend the rest of the day in bed watching Netflix, as long as I've achieved something for that morning. I treat lockdown like I treat my recovery, one day at a time. That's it. That's all I can do. Obviously, I've got my guitar. I can set up, and I can sort of get lost in that. Music is like therapy to me, so I can do that. And go for walks. That's about it, really. Make sure I'm eating breakfast, lunch, dinner. That's all important. So, yeah. one day at a time.
Fantastic. You know, I was going to sort of add stuff to that, Ella, but I literally cannot think of anything else to add. That's fantastic. So I know you're a part of, you're active. You have a blog, don't you? Is that still active? Are you getting that up and going?
So yeah, I mean, I've got this little blog on Facebook, which really I just kind of used it. It's like the people that follow it are sort of loved ones, other people that I met in Sanctuary Lodge, and it's just kind of keep them in the loop of how I'm getting on. And I do get people that share their stories with me, and I post them. Like I think it's important to share like success stories so that other people can see that it's possible to recover. But I don't really use that much. I have started a bit of a TikTok journey, to be honest, and I use that a lot more than Facebook. But that kind of more. I've got quite a few followers on there, and it's basically like a big recovery sober community that I'm involved in on TikTok.
Okay, I'm at the age where we don't use TikTok. Or maybe it's just because I'm a dinosaur when it comes to technology. I don't know.
Yeah, well, so my friend she's not in recovery, but she's all into spirituality, and she's been through her stuff, and she's got a bit of a journey. She kind of gave me the idea.
Yeah.
And basically, I did this TikTok video, and they're only like 60-minute clips, and it was just a quick bit about me, what happened to me, and where I am now. But it had a picture of me like at my rock bottom, and then what I look like now. Obviously, I look a lot healthier.
Yeah.
And I posted it at night, and when I woke up in the morning, it had 80,000 views. And
wow,
I suddenly had all these I suddenly had all these followers. So, some of it is a bit kind of hard hitting and personal, but also I post quite a lot of sort of funny things on there, show that recovery's not all doom and gloom, and it's actually quite beautiful.
Yeah, it is, and it's important to remember that it's not all doom and gloom. If it was, I genuinely mean this. If my life today wasn't remarkably better than it was when I was drinking and using, I would drink and use again. I would. Yeah. Why wouldn't I? I drank and used for a very, very long time. And how do you feel about social media as a platform for recovery and support?
I think it's great. I think if you want to recover out loud, then good for you. Because, I needed to see people get well, believe that it was possible.
Yeah.
And I have had so much support. You get the odd nasty comment, but I don't take any notice of it. There's so much support on there, and, everybody's kind of rooting for each other. And I've just made some of the most amazing friends in recovery, friends for life. And yeah, it's just, I think if you've got the courage to do it, then do it, and don't let anybody put down either.
No, definitely not. It isn't a weakness. Some of the strongest people I know in my life are in recovery, and I've seen people like yourself actually succeed beyond probably anyone's expectations. Because they've got clean and they're enjoying life, and appreciating life. When I speak to people who don't understand addiction and don't know where I've been, and I'll speak to them about gratitude for my life, or I looked at a sunset on holiday and I said to my wife, I said, it's just amazing. There was greens and there was purples and oranges and reds, and it was coming up over the mountain. And she looked at it and she said, it's a sunset. And I said, yeah, but it's beautiful, and it's just like, what a gift it really is to have that appreciation for life and recovering loudly. I recovered loudly, so other people don't die silently, and I love it.
Exactly.
I'm very open. I mean, on on social media, on my Facebook page, is I'm continuously posting about recovery. My personal Facebook page, I'm posting about, my milestones, and I'm always available to help people. I know that you either are in 12-step or you very soon will be, actually, through personal sponsorship and like through just service at meetings and things, and giving yourself so that other people can recover as a part of what we do. It is the most beautiful.
I mean, exactly. And when I was in active addiction, I used Facebook. So I had a very public kind of breakdown, really, so I'm going to have a public recovery too.
Yes, that's cool. I like that. I'm actually very grateful I didn't really have Facebook when I was in active addiction.
I was terrible. I can't look at my, on Facebook you get like your memories, what you said like a year ago or two. I cannot look at it. I just, can't look at it. It's so cringy.
Yeah, it is. But you know what? You don't have to live that life anymore. And I believe myself, a day at a time, that it can be permanent. I was told that if I followed the suggestions, obviously I go to 12-step meetings, if I follow the suggestions, the obsession to drink and use, which will drive me back out there to do it, will never come back again. And every day is not easy. I have, a job, as I said, where I work. It can be quite a full-on job. We deal with a lot of people every day, and it can be quite hard to do that and also do recovery. But as long as my recovery comes first, which it certainly comes before my job, but it comes before my wife, it comes before my children, comes before everything else in my life, because if it doesn't, then I don't have a job, I don't have a wife, and I don't have my children.
Yeah.
So this comes first, nothing else suffers.
Exactly.
It really doesn't. Well, Ella, I honestly mean this, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. And when you,
thank you.
after the pandemic, when you play a gig, I'm going to be there. I'm going to come and listen to you play.
That's it. You're on, definitely.
Definitely. You can keep in contact with me now. You can. Now we've spoken. It would be nice to actually, follow your journey and come and see you play. Have a bit of fun.
Yeah, lovely. Lee, thanks so much for having me. And I just want to thank one last time, not only Sanctuary Lodge, but UKAT as well. You guys have really been so supportive to me. And I probably wouldn't have got through this year without you. So thank you so much.
Oh, bless you. Honest, it makes my job, and I know the whole team's job, worthwhile when we we hear. Not it is nice to get the praise, but more importantly to witness your return to life.
Yeah.
It's it makes the job worthwhile. Now, thank you so much again. It's been absolutely fantastic. Thanks.
Thank you.
Nobody told me that Charlie was here, yeah. Oh, it's just like you to tag along. No. The people get weak when Charlie is near, yeah. Oh, it's the same old song. And all of my friends want Charlie around, yeah. He'll keep the party till the break of dawn. But he'll turn your life upside down, yeah. He'll make you wish that you were never born. And we'll get by, getting high, telling a white lies. Oh, won't you read between the lines? 'Cause you know you can't deny those white lies. else chew you up and spit you out.